My name is Kristy Rice, and I was put on this earth to teach you watercolor. Putting brush to paper, that small moment, that simple act, holds so much power. It holds infinitely more power than the person who told you you couldn't do this or you weren't talented enough. And watercolor holds more power than your fear of making a mess of it all. Today, I am going to teach you the absolute basics that you need to build the confidence to do this joy-chasing watercolor thing. Just give me 5 minutes, and I'm going to hand you a whole lot of joy. The supplies I'm going to use today are simple. I'm using Crayola Watercolors, a single brush, and good enough paper. This is something I picked up at Five Below. The first exercise is called Wow. It's the heart and soul of watercolor, and it's really the only technique you need to know to create something that you can be proud of. Make sure your paint is sprayed down, and I want you to grab a brush full of clean water, really, really wet brush full of clean water, and just start adding some of it onto the page. There's no rhyme, there's no reason. And then you're gonna start dabbing in some color. You can choose to rinse in between the colors or not. If you don't rinse, things will start to look a little brown. If you do rinse, your colors will all stay brighter. You can see that puddle on my page, just how wet that is. You want the colors on the page to feel juicy. Watch those explosions happen right here. Right here is the moment, the joy-making moment, so early on in the process. Doesn't it feel like a big breath of fresh air? You're watching watercolor do what it does best. Once your brush leaves the page, it keeps moving. Doesn't this feel amazing? This is the magic. This is what everyone is so enamored with about watercolor. Yeah, you're painting now. Don't feel like you need to add more brush strokes. Once you have that color on there and it's moving and grooving, just watch and enjoy what you've created. That right there, friends, is joy. And it's yours now. Take that same kind of wet brush, and this time though, make a rectangle. You want it to be a rectangle puddle. Then you're going to add some color. Just choose your favorite. Make sure that palette is staying nice and juicy and syrupy. Yep, that's right. You want the paint inside those pans of Crayolas to have a syrupy texture. Lift a lot of color out of the pan of your choice. I'm choosing blue, and dab it into the left side of your rectangle puddle, and just watch those colors creep and crawl, float out into the rectangle. So much of the joy of watercolor comes from just observing what you've done, having the courage and the patience to let watercolor do what it does and just watch and enjoy. If your color isn't moving as much as mine, don't worry. You might be using a different paint, or maybe you didn't have as much water on your rectangle to begin with. Now we're going to take what we learned from our two rectangles, and we're going to put them side by side and create a rainbow strip. So start with a clean brush filled with your favorite first color. Lay that down in kind of a rectangle format. Rinse your brush. Choose your next favorite color. And you're going to want those colors to just bump up next to one another, enough so that you can see the two colors starting to mingle where they merge. And you want to continue that 3 or 4 more colors, or even more. Don't stop if you're enjoying it and it feels good. If your colors aren't mingling like mine, you might want to add some more water to your brush while you're picking up paint from the palette. When watercolor isn't moving like you expect, it's always about more water on the brush or more water on the page. I know you're still feeling good, and even if yours doesn't look like mine, and honestly, it shouldn't. You did this. You weren't making this happen, and this is watercolor joy. This is it. All right, let's paint a flower. Choose your favorite green, load up that brush so that it's very wet with color, and you're going to press and drag for about 2 seconds and slowly lift from that drag. You're going to repeat that on the other side of that mark you just made, and then do it again for a second full leaf. Now rinse your brush really well. I am grabbing a red and create a backward C. It should be a wonky C. The line weight shouldn't be all the same, and there should be a little wiggle to it. And then go around that C and make another wiggle line, and then grab a different color. I've got some yellow here, and wiggle in between those lines. You can rinse your brush in between to keep those colors really pure and bright. I've got more red again, and I'm gonna wiggle and wiggle around. And now I'm grabbing blue without even rinsing my brush and wiggle from the other side and around. Notice my line weight is so varying. Sometimes I'm pressing harder, sometimes I'm pressing lighter. Now add a few more leaves like we did in the beginning, and you've done it. You painted a flower. Nothing about today was meant to be perfect. The point of today was to be present, and you were. It feels so good, doesn't it? I hope you'll join me again. Happy painting.